Christians against my people.
Paralyzed a farming village in northwestern Sokoto State after a series of U.S. military strikes on Christmas Day, which President Trump claimed targeted 2 ISIS camps in the region. But residents of Jabo, a predominantly Muslim community, say there's no recorded history of anti-Christian terrorism in the town. Bashar Issa Jabo, a lawmaker representing Tambuwal in the Sokoto State Parliament, described Jabo as, quote, a peaceful community, saying in an interview with CNN that the town has, quote, no history of ISIS, Lakurawa, or any other terrorist groups operating in the area, unquote. The strikes, carried out by the U.S. in collaboration with Nigeria's government, come as Trump has repeatedly falsely claimed a Christian genocide is taking place in Nigeria. In a post on Truth Social last month, Trump wrote in part, quote, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance. Nigeria may very well go into that now disgraced country, guns a-blazing, Trump wrote. Organizations monitoring violence in the region say there's no evidence to suggest Christians are killed more than Muslims and other religious groups in Nigeria. President Trump touted the Christmas Day strikes in a call into WABC.
He said, hit him on Christmas Day. It'll be a Christmas present. We hit ISIS, who are terrible. They're butchers.
Nigeria's information minister said, quote, portraying Nigeria's security challenges as a targeted campaign against a single religious group is a gross misrepresentation of reality, unquote. This all comes as a suicide bomber detonated an explosive inside a mosque in Nigeria's Borno state Christmas Day, killing 5 worshippers and injuring 35. Jennifer Kavanaugh, a director of military analysis at Defense Priorities, said, quote, the U.S. action taken in Nigeria while Americans celebrated the Christmas holiday is an unnecessary and unjustified use of U.S. military force that violates Mr. Trump's promises to his supporters to put American interests first and avoid risky and wasteful military campaigns abroad. Meanwhile, the U.S. Africa Command confirmed strikes on Somalia, which took place over the course of 4 days, from December 22nd to Christmas Day. For more, we're joined by Yinka Adegoke, Africa editor for Semaphore, an independent news platform. He was the founding editor of Quartz Africa. Thanks so much for being with us, Yinka. If you can talk about what President Trump said this was a Christmas gift. Explain what's going on in Nigeria, with so many saying, including the foreign minister of Nigeria, that there is not a campaign, a genocide against Christians, that as many or more Muslims are dying as Christians.
Right. Yeah, no, you're very right. This has been, Nigeria has a very serious problem of insecurity. That affects a wide range of Nigerians, especially those who live in the more remote parts of the country, which tend to be in the north. And the north of Nigeria is predominantly Muslim. And therefore, when these insecurity problems happen for a variety of reasons, and we can get into some of those, they tend to impact Muslims more so than Christians. But over the years, of course, Christians have also been attacked. Some churches have been attacked, just as mosques have been attacked, because obviously churches and mosques tend to be fairly vulnerable and easy targets. But you know, there was almost a sort of a callousness to the way President Trump referred to a Christmas present, when, you know, their real lives at stake here. People have been killed. People are living really insecure lives, and it's not just because they're Christians or because they are Muslims.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Recha HaKodash, and double honors to the elder apostles and the bishops of Great Millstone. Honors as well to the other elders and brethren, you supporters of this truth, which includes your few sisters. Shalom to the elect. Anyway, I've watched Elder Apostle Tahar video the other day, and he was going into how, I think he's responding off of someone else, another brother or another channel, on how Christians are having protection. So this kind of rules out that they'll be persecuted for truth's sake when they're in bed with the main spoilers. You know what I'm saying? So how do Christians now make the excuse that they're being persecuted when we see the Christian mindset of Christians are doing the persecution? And it's coming back all over again, and nobody's going to do videos on Donald Trump persecuting other nations. You know what I'm saying? And it's ironic that it's right there in Nigeria, West Africa, you know, where the Israelites are. Now, to go through a little history, during the Barbary trades and slavery, you had Arabs who adopted so-called Africans, West Africans, Israelites, and other nations into Islam, right? So we started converting as Israelites over to Islam. That's why we called ourselves Moors. And then we, even with the language, little Hebraic language, along with, you know, it's all similar, right? And then come Esau and force Christianity on us, right? So we can see what's happening. So really, what they're saying is the Muslims are being bombed, and then the Jesuits that we see forcing Christianity back on the people. And some of these Muslims may convert back to Christianity just to feel safe. I mean, who knows? But it seems as this is nothing new, right? This is what they did in the ancient times. This is what Antiochus has done to the Jews, Antiochus IV, during the time of the Maccabees, right? You can read First Maccabees and tell you everything, how they even lynched the children, right? So that same spirit came back during a transatlantic slave trade. We see Nero, who was kind of all right with the Jews until they felt like they was revolting. And then he put hell on the Jews as well, right? And did all kinds of things to the Israelites, you know what I'm saying? And then, of course, he had help. We don't know if Vocab Malone's spirit was right with him doing it. And then you had the Jesuits later on, you get the point, who forced monogamy on the Israelites in West Africa as Christians, but over in Kenya, where Bishop Nathaniel goes, it wasn't forced on them like that. They're Christian polygamists. But while in West Africa they promoted monogamy, but in East Africa they didn't promote monogamy. Yeah, this goes back to Exodus 2 when he talks about they're afraid of our multiplying. You know what I'm saying? The Pharaoh after Joseph died. But anyway, let's read a couple scriptures. 2nd Ezra 16 and 71. They shall be like, let me go here, 70. It says, for there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those who fear the Lord. And see, this what we just witnessed, what I just showed in the clip, is just the beginning. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. Right? A lot of us who claim we're Christians and believers, well, guess what? You so-called black Christians, the black male Christian is the worst. He sees white supremacy, the dominance of plantation Christianity, who has fully destroyed us in every way. They claim that the color don't matter, but they'll leave that white Jesus up. They'll leave to the imagination white Jesus. They all say, this is what I learned about black weird Christians. They will all say, so-called black, they all say, it doesn't matter what his color is. The so-called black men, and especially the black woman, so-called black woman, she loves Esau. She loves white Jesus. Don't take her white Jesus away. She loves the white Ken and Barbie dolls. You know, that's how Eve is. But they'll say, it doesn't matter about skin color. It has nothing to do with skin color. It's all about the love of Jesus. But when you imagine Jesus, you'll say he's white. So does it matter with the white images? Shouldn't you say, okay, if we don't believe in the black image, well, there has to be an image because he came in the flesh. But they leave to the imagination the white image, even though we proved he doesn't look white. So according to the Bible, God is racist. Yahweh is racist, which he is. Anyway, they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Right? This is just a glimpse of what we see coming. Right? Then shall it be known who are my chosen. Right? So then it's going to be known. This proves that in all the Christian churches, everybody's not chosen. This is what that proves. If all these Christian churches around the globe and around the countries and inner cities are really fearing the Lord, how are they all the chosen? Anyway, and they shall be tried as the gold is in the fire. Right? Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for God is your guide. Yahweh is your guide. And the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts, saith the Lord. Let not your sins weigh you down. Now, what do you mean by keep the commandments, which is mainly the first and second commandment? To love the Lord with all your heart, might, and soul, and strength, and love the neighbor as yourself. That's all pretty much. If you're doing that, you're following, trying to keep the Sabbath, the holy days, because Israelites will say, well, all you got to do is keep the commandments. Well, this is why the Messiah said, which is the greatest of the commandments, and this is what he was talking about, the first two, because clearly you can't keep all the laws. That's why the Lord shed his blood, because we can't keep all the laws. Anyway, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves. Okay? Anyway, I was going to read more, but I'm going to go on, jump over here. This is Ecclesiastes 1:9. The thing that has been, it is that what shall be, and that which is done is that what shall be done. And there's no new thing under the sun. So when we see these actions take place of men being bombed, right, cities being destroyed, and hell coming on the nation of people, and it's primarily because judgment. You know what I'm saying? Judgment. A lot of those in Nigeria, they follow Christianity, they follow Islam, and that's why you just heard me read 2 Ezra 16. That's why they don't want that in the Bible. If they were following the Lord, they would be protected, and calling on the Lord's name, but they're not. You see what I'm saying? They're following every doctrine under the sun. And these simple sheeple will still get on their knees and pray to white Jesus. They just can't help themselves. We're the only people can get bombed and destroyed, tore to pieces, and still have hope in white Jesus. Still looking for some clarity, looking for some love and some affection and some comfort. We're the only people that do that. Other nations, they believe in their gods, they do what they do, and they live by it. They even fight by it, even Islam. But no, not Christians. Christians will get their ass blown to smithereens, and they'll go to the people that blew them up and forgive them and say Jesus loves them. Yeah. Thank you, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. I came out of Christianity. And where's vocab in all this? Will he step in and say this is wrong by our government, by our president, bombing and blowing people up unjustly in the name of Christmas? Which Christmas means Christ's death, Mass means death. Is he going to stand against the tyranny and the sickness? Is he going to say, is vocab Malone going to say, hey, this is evil, Mr. Trump. This is not what Christianity is all about. See, what you got to understand, this is a different kind of Christianity as well, right? Trump is trying to protect his interests of making America great, is putting you Jakes back in slavery, right? Killing you off. See, those are kind of Protestants that were for, out of the Roman Catholic Church too, they were all for taking Jake and destroying them and making them slaves because the Bible said so. And that they were the curse of Ham. Although other nations of dark too, and they don't call them the curse of Ham. I wonder why. It's only us that they brought here and have us as the curse of Ham. The curse of Canaan. It's only us. But the Arabs and all the other nations, they let them open up gas stations and restaurants and everything else, right? And further oppress us. So we know it's a spiritual thing. It says, is there anything where it might be said, see, this is new? It have been already of old time, which was before us. There is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be remembrance of things to come, right? Of things that are to come with those that shall come after. So when Trump came out of the womb, he never figured, well, I'm Nero or Antiochus, right? Or one of those wicked rulers, kings. He just came to do what the Lord said him to do. And through generations, through the reincarnation, through these generations, they come back and they play out their role. I never knew I'd be coming out and doing this because I didn't have no remembrance until I was waking to my remembrance. Right? None of us really know who we are, and we really don't know who we were. But we can get an idea of some of who they were. Right? Because we're definitely back in the reincarnation. That's another video. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28. Right? And 48. I think 48. Yeah, see, all this is nothing new here either. Some of this goes back Babylon, 70 AD, transatlantic slave trade, even up to this day. Being evil towards your brother. Right? Let's go on down here. It says 45. Moreover, these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God to keep his commandments and his statutes which we commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and a wonder, and upon thy seed forever, for a period of time, because thou servest not the Lord thy God in joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And this is actually the Lord putting a yoke of iron upon thy neck, using Esau to do it. At the end of the day, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from one end of the earth, and as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. So through process of elimination, when you read all of this, we know the scholars, they'll try to put it in. Everything happened in 70 AD when it comes to the scholars. Sometime is Babylon. But guess who was there in 70 AD? It was us there too. Right? We came from the Middle East. They made that name up to make us separate, right? To make it seem like we wasn't part of the Middle East. Yeah, we was in the Middle East too. So when people think of Middle Eastern, they think of some half-mixed, light-skinned Arab, which they call an olive complexion. I don't know where they made up that new racial identity, because, a lot of our people have olive complexion too. And not to mention, our people will look like different nations as well. But that's the confusion that they try to confuse us on. Basically, you was just some black Negroes that came on slave ships, right? And they whipped your black ass and brought you over here, and that's it. But no history before that. No, we was in Jerusalem. We was in, and Google will tell you that. We was in or when you deal with West Africa and going further up north in various places, we was there. We was in Europe. The Moors was in Europe. You know what I'm saying? We was all over. We was scattered. Right? Some of us to serve slavery, and some of us to lead slavery eventually. And now I'm back to slavery. You see the point? So when they look at somebody and call them Middle Eastern, those people wasn't even there in the ancient times, the people you see today. Some of them, because it's a mixture. But for the most part, that was our land. That's where we were. Right? Let's go here. Let's go to the book of Joel. I'll try to make this quick. Joel 3. My take is, what does vocab and the Christianites got to say about this stuff? This man, they got so much protection for Christianity. So that means, how are they persecuted? I don't get it. Are they going to say we're the ones persecuting them? Because I don't see no persecution coming from us. All I see is us correcting them on doctrine, and they're getting pissed. And all of a sudden open up books and trying to study and read words. That's all I see. Joel 3:2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down in the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and my heritage Israel, whom they scattered among the nations and parted my land. Right? And they have cast lots for my people and given a boy for a harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. So we have to understand, well, how did those people get in the land, and why the hell do they all look alike? What tribe is that? When Job 30 said, my skin is black upon me. Yeah, what tribe is that? Now, the reason why it says that, because it was well known that we were so-called black anyway, but through any kind of famine or trauma, right? I never seen an Edomite white person turn black, but you know what the scholars did? They said it was black ash, like a volcano, or some crap. Anyway, yeah, they put yokes of iron upon thy neck. That was that transatlantic slave trade, and what I understand, it happened in Babylon as well. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way I speak unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. Now, some translations say, you shall offer yourselves up to slavery. Of course, mistranslation, we had to go to the older Bibles and cut all of that. They didn't say that in any older Bible before the 1600s. And I don't even believe, well, the 1611 never even said that. That's just something made up. And then they said, you offer yourselves up, but nobody's going to buy you. Well, that's poor value. I've never seen a slave not get bought. And when you got a bunch of women from any nation, let's say women in general, from any nation, young women that are made, that's brought in to be slavery, you tell me one man who got some wealth is not going to buy them. And even the young men to build up their houses or whatever, their town, their cities. That's what they did to us. Yeah, they bought us. Right? And then it says, thou shalt see it no more again. Thou shalt be brought into Egypt again with ships. By the way I speak unto thee, and thou shalt see it no more again. And there thou shalt be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. So over time, that word buy changed in translation. Right? So they look like to them that no man shall buy you, meaning you were never bought. Well, when you go into the old translation, it literally said no man shall redeem you, or no man shall be beside you. That's what it really meant. Like when somebody say, yeah, I stand by my brother. I stand by my brother. Meaning I stand beside my brother. Right? Meaning no man is going to save you or redeem you. It didn't mean nobody man was going to buy you out of slavery. You Christians are so far behind that you don't understand the English that you're reading. Anyway, that's all I have on